Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and I am your watch guy today. Now we are coming up to another AliExpress sale season, and you know what that means. I will be reviewing a decent few AliExpress pieces in the next couple of weeks, showing you guys what's on offer. I can already hear all of the "you're a sellout for reviewing free watches" comments from certain other people in the community.
But here we are, nice supportive community, hey.
Right, so today I am reviewing a piece from Cadisen. This is their C8213, and it is a homage to the Rolex Explorer. However, there's a nice little splash of colour in it. It's available in 3 different variations: black dial classic, a more golden tone, and this baby blue, which I think is a really nice summer vibe for a lot of us. It's available for £70.95 on the Aliexpress Cadisen store right now. That's who sent me this watch. It has been sent to me for free for review. They have no say in the review at all. They are linked in the description. That's an affiliate link. Also, you will find down there a link to my online store. That's where I sell my pre-owned watches. All of that out of the way, are we all ready to see this watch in person? Well, let's turn this camera around and let's get into the review. So guys, on the desk today we have the Cadisen C8213. This is quite clearly a homage to the Rolex Explorer, but with a little splash of colour. I say a little splash of colour, a very vibrant splash of colour. It's a very nice Tiffany, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me saying Tiffany, but a very nice sky blue, baby blue colour with very nicely accented white indices. Obviously this one will appeal to those who really like the 369 aesthetic with a little bit of colour, maybe a little bit of a summer watch. Cadisen have packed this watch with the NH35 movement. It is a NH35, which does mean it has a ghost date position. As you can see me operating there, that's just taken away. It is a straight up freehand watch, very simple, very legible design. The design we do not owe to Cadisen, as you're definitely aware. Let's talk about the diameter of this watch, or the sizing as a whole. Now that is really one of the big appeals to this piece. It is one of the smaller pieces on the market. So it is 36.5 millimeters in diameter, which is a very aesthetically pleasing and very wearable case size for myself. For those of us with smaller wrists who prefer a smaller sized case watch, this is definitely going to be a big winner for us. It does come in nice and thin, or thinly wearable. It is 11.6 millimeters thick. Lug to lug is 44.9 millimeters, and we have 20 millimeter lugs on this piece. Definitely plenty of strap and bracelet options that you can pair with this one. It is 316L stainless steel throughout, and we have a mixture of brushing and high polish finish. The fixed flat bezel is high polish, as are the sides. They are nicely accented by these lugs, which have a really nice level of brushing which flows into the bracelet. Screw down crown on this piece. It is easy to get hold of, well sized, almost vintage Rolex-esque in sizing for me. It is also a signed crown with the Cadisen logo. The case back is a very simple one. It does have a little spec sheet around the outer edge, as you'd expect, but otherwise very simple brushed back on that. Again, very reminiscent to a Rolex piece. The crystal in this one does have a slight level of AR coating, and it is a sapphire crystal, which is what we expect to see at this price point. The £70 price point on AliExpress is definitely where we start to expect to see really good specifications to a watch. The sapphire crystal, a good water resistance, a screw down crown, etc, etc, and that's what this Cadisen is packing. The water resistance on this one is 100 meters, and for a sports style, almost dress style watch, I think that that's a very acceptable level of water resistance also. As we move into the dial itself, it is really the feature piece of this watch. You can see that the indices actually stand very proudly off that dial. They are applied to the dial. We have batons throughout, aside from the 3, 6 and 9, which have Arabic numerals, again, applied to the dial and really do add a nice level of depth to that dial. The Cadisen logo takes the place of the 12 o'clock, and that looks like it's been embossed to the dial. It doesn't really look like it's applied. The chapter ring on the Cadisen iterations are very nice. As you can see, they do engrave the Cadisen logo throughout it, which again is reminiscent to a Rolex model. Cadisen automatic up at the 12 o'clock printed to the dial in black, and at the 6 o'clock just above you can see 10 ATM waterproof sapphire. Now, one little gripe to have with this printing, as you can see where it says there, waterproof, this is not a waterproof watch. Don't take that for face value. It is water resistant. 10 ATM water resistant. Very different things, those two. Very simple handset on this piece. Stainless steel border, high polished stainless steel border to the handset with a Lume center. The second hand is a nice needle thin second hand. It's very well sized to the dial. Obviously this is a smaller dial, and yeah, the handset does fit it very nicely. Obviously you are going to be wondering about the Lume shot on this one. So let's get the lights out and let's have a look at how it stands up. As you can see, we have a level of BGW9 Lume on this piece, that nice pale blue style Lume. It's actually pretty good for the price that you're paying for this watch. There is a slight little patchiness on the numerals, however, not much. Definitely well spread throughout the dial and the handset. For the price point that it's at, I'd definitely give this a very solid 7 out of 10. I really do like those numerals being loomed. I think that really does add a nice aesthetic to the Lume shot. It would have been nice to see something at 12 o'clock, but obviously with that embossed logo, they've gone for the stylistic side of it instead. Yeah, I think that's, especially for an Aliexpress standard, it's a really good level of Lume. Honestly, it definitely beats out the Pagani design iterations that this piece goes up against. So well done to Cadisen for that. They're definitely stepping up the game there. So now it's time for us to move on to the bracelet that this watch sits on. And honestly, I am starting to really tire of reviewing these Aliexpress Oysterlink style bracelets. They're good quality for the money that you're going to pay, but it seems to me that there's always the same issues and they've never really been upgraded enough for me to really pay attention to a change. I've made around 450 videos on YouTube now, and honestly, these things have been the same since day one. This one is slightly loose around the clasp here, as you can see, which is a little bit of a letdown. The engraving on the Cadisen is really good, to be fair. Fold out machined clasp. We do have a diver's extension here, as you can see. Only a very small one. I don't know how useful that would be, to be honest. For me, it's more of a sweaty day extension instead of a dive extension. The clasp is quite light to the fitting, which, yeah, screw links in this, which is nice to see. That is a level of quality that we have come to expect from AliExpress for some really weird reason. The bracelet itself isn't exactly incredibly well fitted. As you can see there, this one is rather wobbly. An incredible amount of play on that link itself, which really does let down this piece. That's a slip of the quality control, I think, personally. Yeah, a little bit let down by that one, because honestly, otherwise the bracelet was really solid, I guess. So let me pop this on wrist and we'll then segue nicely into my moan section. So here it is on my 6¼ inch wrist. As you can see, it fits very nicely to my wrist size. As I say, people who enjoy a smaller fitting watch will really love the sizing of this one. I think that it fits very nicely. It's a nice everyday type of wear. It's definitely one that you can get on board with on an everyday basis, especially with the dimensions that it packs. And obviously that NH35 movement is a very reliable movement that we are very comfortable with on the market now. So where do my moans lie with this watch? Well, I find myself asking, what do I look for in a watch? Do I want something that's packed with an incredible amount of Lume? Do I want something that really just blows the room away once you walk in with it on wrist? Something that really catches the eye? Do I want something that no one else is going to wear? well, there's one thing for certain. I want something that sticks to my wrist, something that actually stays on wrist. And honestly, the bracelet on this really does leave a lot to be desired. So as you can see, that movement there is, yeah, that's weak as hell. It looks like the link actually hasn't been actuated properly. Again, quality control from Cadisen. That is slightly let me down. Another thing that I will mention is obviously these screw links really do need to be tightened up very well to make sure that the watch isn't going to go anywhere, which is a piece of advice for myself that I really should have heeded, because this one took a almighty tumble. The first day I put it on, I walked outside of work, I walked out the front door and bam, hits the pavement like a ton of bricks. Luckily enough, it survived. No real damage to the piece. In fact, to be fair, maybe that might have been me in that drop. But yeah, the screw came out. I spent about 10 minutes on my hands and knees on the floor in Ellesmere Port looking for the bloody screw. And trust me, that is not a position that you want to be in. As well as that, the ghost date position, again, it'd be nice to see them pack this watch with the NH38. Really go for it, really make it a fully developed piece. You know, don't leave the little bit to imagination. Don't leave that little bit on the table. The bracelet also and clasp slightly sharp in places. As I say, these, especially around the edges here, as I say, these bracelets haven't really been upgraded since day one on Aliexpress, and I think that it's about time that we started to actually see some brands put a little bit more effort into them. Aside from what I've just mentioned, aside from the little tumble that it took, I do really think that this is a very solid offering from Cadisen, especially for the people who have the gripe with Pagani Design about the Lume quality. This one fixes that for you. 36mm in diameter is a very wearable watch. That 11.6mm thickness, again, very wearable. Makes it almost a dress aesthetic piece. That sports style dress watch that you really do want in your collection. This could be the one for you, especially at the £70 mark. I think that's a really good option for us. So thank you to Cadisen for sending this in for me to have a look at. So guys, tell me what you think of Cadisen's interpretation of the Rolex Explorer, or what you think of their homage to this piece. It's nice to see a different colour option for this type of dial. It's a very affordable piece. Few little negatives there, as I mentioned towards the end. Definitely do your own research on these pieces also before you make any sort of purchases. I know some people are of the opinion that if a free watch is sent to any channel, especially a smaller one like my own, then obviously we are just selling the watch. But that's not really the case. You know, this is an open, honest forum. Have your say in the comments below.
Don't listen to everyone else out there just because they've got a little bit of a following behind them.
Thanks for watching this one today, guys. Remember, the links are in the description if you want to use them. Also, leave me a comment, tell me what you're looking at in the sale, tell me what's catching your eyes, or tell me what other watches you've noticed lately. I'd love to hear from you guys in that comment section. Thank you for watching this one. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.